Scoopy Talks. Roland Martin here. Brent Scoopy Robinson here. Brother, what's going on?
Oh, good. Just chilling. So, a friend of mine sent me this. I was like, well, I'll go ahead and pop through. I'm in town.
Well, you came to a good place. L.A. is a sports city, but if I'm not mistaken, Houston is your
born and raised
city of fandom. So
born and raised.
The Houston Texans, the Rams.
No, Texans, Rockets, Astros. We are defending World Series champions.
So let me ask you a question. What do you make of Ime Udoka's hiring in Houston?
First of all, Coach Silas was a phenomenal coach. He got dealt a horrible hand when James Harden demanded a trade. So the team that he was going to be coaching wasn't the team. So he became the sacrificial lamb, if you will, for all these young players. And so what always happens, you're not going to be able to see that thing through. I think Udoka's hiring is important. We saw what he did with the Celtics. I mean, obviously, you have an extremely young team. And so I think his type of style is going to be important to get those guys to ramp their game up. But that's part of the problem. I mean, it's just a young squad, up and down the roster.
Dylan Brooks is verbal. You are verbal on TV. If you got into an argument, clean argument with Dylan Brooks, who would win?
That's a question?
Yes. I need the answer.
That's not a question.
Why not?
Easy. I got no competition.
Okay, I like that answer.
None.
Looking across the landscape.
None.
Looking across the landscape of basketball, though, LeBron James, and going into year 21. Somebody that you have a lot of respect for. LeBron, year 21. In your lifetime, have you ever seen anything like that?
Probably the only comparable person to what LeBron is doing at this stage of his career is Tom Brady in football. When you talk about the longevity and still playing at a high level. What you don't want to see, though, is you don't want to see that come down. So I think the challenge for a LeBron is to show everybody I can still perform at a high level even in year 21. The last year of Tom Brady was not a good one. And so I think that's what the challenge is. And so obviously he wants to win a championship, but I think he wants to show everyone that you're not going to see a tremendous decline in output, in the quality of play, that he is such a great player that he can still play at that level in year 21 when a bunch of cats in their year 1, 2, and 3 would love to play at that level.
Learn me something, as my late grandmother would say. You see a lot of athletes being very vocal on social justice. In your lifetime, I know you've definitely seen many people who did it. Bill Russell, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Yep.
Have you been impressed over the last few years with the amount of athletes who has been social, or who have been outspoken about a lot of social issues?
Well, being outspoken is one thing, but for me, what do you do beyond that? I think that's what's most important. And when you saw Milwaukee Bucks players, how they responded during the COVID playoffs, where they were like, yo, we're not playing. And I think what people have to understand something, there's a difference between leverage, influence, and power. The reality is the players do not have power because they don't own. But the question is, how do they properly use their leverage and influence? The key for me is not how do they respond when there's a major story that goes national. It's how are you responding to the daily issues happening in your city. That's that right there, is the real issue. And then what I say to them is, you don't have to do this thing by yourself. This is where you also partner with other folks who are doing this work. One of the mistakes people make is they figure, I got to create my own thing. No, there are existing organizations waiting for you to show up. And so that's what I hope a lot more of these players do. And the last point, and I'll say this to any player, align with those who know and be educated throughout. I can tell you there are a number of entertainers, athletes, when something comes up, they'll call me like, hey, Ro, I need to ask you about this because they're not sure what's going on. That's, to me, is most important as well. So you are knowledgeable about what's happening because you're tapping into resources who know what's happening, who can give you the 411. I hate when I see an athlete speak out on something, they don't call nobody.
Right.
I remember doing a Super Bowl. Chad Johnson called me. He said, man, let me run this thing by you. And I said, well, no, let me explain to you this way. And what I did, I changed his thought process And so now he's going to respond to questions differently because of our conversation.
Do you think, when you look at Muhammad Ali and his story, there are a lot of people who were upset with him and his conversion to Islam and his opinions about the war and there were a lot of people mad. But as he got older, a lot of people had revisionist history. In your mind, do you feel like when Colin Kaepernick gets older, there will be people who will have similar revisionist history?
No, because the difference was Muhammad Ali stayed outspoken. I was interviewed by Spike Lee for the Colin Kaepernick documentary, and I said then, and I'll still say now, I think one of the mistakes that Colin made and has continued to make is he doesn't talk. That's the difference. And so staying out there, remaining vocal, and again, that's not everybody's style. So everybody's style is not Muhammad Ali. But again, if you are the face of a movement, you also have to be the voice of it. And so I think one of the mistakes was going quiet and having other people speak and frame things for you. And so even now, I think he still needs to be even more vocal, having more of a media presence. And look, there's a whole bunch of us in black-owned media who would love to provide a platform for Colin, but he doesn't use it. And so I think that's the difference there. And so what happened with Ali, people need to understand is that it always happens as you get older. A lot of people saw that post-career Ali and praising him, and that's always been America. Today we treat MLK like a civil rights mascot, like oh my, like you know, like a bobblehead, you know, on a mantle. When in his last year in life, he was despised by more people, including black people, than he ever was in his life. So when you're in the middle of the work, folks are gonna hate you. But that's why you don't worry about what people actually think. You simply do the work.
Brother, thank you so much for your time.
I appreciate it.
My man.
All right, bro. Appreciate it.
Yes.